everyone, welcome back to the Dork side. It is I, your friendly neighborhood Dork on my Grom. And today we're going to talk about whether or not I think the Honda Grom is a good first motorcycle. That's right, everyone. I am the Dork on the road, and I want to be your internet riding buddy. And I'm better than your regular riding buddies because I'm available whenever you want, and I come with a mute button. So please consider subscribing, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you know when I post awesome new dorky content just like this. Pretty common question, really with any motorcycle, but I think even more so with the Honda Grom. Is the Honda Grom a good first motorcycle? If it was a simple yes or no answer, this would be a very short video. And in a lot of ways, it's a very, very, very good first motorcycle, and I would highly recommend it, but there are some significant drawbacks that I feel like you should be aware of before you make that decision, especially if it's going to be your only motorcycle. As I mentioned in the Is the Versus 650 a good first motorcycle video, there's really two things to consider, two major areas to consider when picking a bike for a beginner, for a brand new rider. And the first one is ease of handling and lack of intimidatingness. And the second is it a bike that you'll keep for a long time? Because even if it's cheaper to get into a motorcycle, it becomes more expensive if you have to take a loss on it and sell it a year or two later than it would have been if you just bought a more expensive bike in the first place. So those are the two things that we're going to consider as we talk about whether or not the Grom is a good first bike. So let's talk about item one. Is it an unintimidating bike to learn on? Absolutely. There may be no less intimidating bike to learn on in the world. It is the perfect bike for learning on because it's fun. It's got enough power that you can have fun and have a good time, but it's not so fast or intimidating that you can hurt yourself. But it's not dangerous. It's not dangerous, it's just less dangerous. It's not going to get away from you. It's very tolerant of mistakes is what I'm trying to say. This motorcycle is very mistake friendly. You can screw up pretty majorly, and the worst thing that happens is you set it down on the ground. So it's very, very forgiving of noob mistakes. So on that score, it's a very good first motorcycle. It's easy to ride, it's fun to ride, it's easy to do all the stuff, all the slow speed maneuvering, all the moving around in your garage, all the getting in and out of parking spots, squeezing through tight spaces, putting your foot down at stop signs. It's great for all of those things, and it's just a really great bike to learn on. In fact, if where you going, bro? In fact, if it were possible, that guy waved me by the way, I'm not a total asshole. I think he did. If it were possible to like just hand someone a bike and say, learn on this for a year before you pick the one you're going to be with forever, I think we should be handing out Honda Groms because it is perfect for that. It's almost like it was made for it. You can learn all the basics, all the nuts and bolts of riding without the real dangers of riding. I mean, obviously the biggest danger of riding is other people, but you're never going to get away from that one. But at least, yeah, your own mistakes are less likely to be catastrophic, and it's so good for that. Okay, so it's an easy bike. You can twist the throttle all the way open. You can learn to corner. The only bad thing about it is it's almost too easy to ride, and you don't realize how careful you need to be on other motorcycles because it's that easy. I do, as I mentioned in my 5 things I hate about my Honda Grom video, it can make you careless when you get on a bigger motorcycle, so that's something to keep in mind. So easy to ride, easy to get into, unintimidating for a new rider, absolutely. Great first bike on that score. However, the other thing to consider when thinking about a first bike is how long will you have it for, or how satisfied will you be with it in the long term. And here's where you run into issues with the Grom, in my opinion. Because as you can see right now, perfect case, this bike is struggling to get over 50 miles an hour at this moment, okay? I'm not riding into a headwind. I'm above average, but I'm not, you know, enormous. I'm just a regular sized dude, and it just doesn't go that fast. So the limitations of this bike are significant. It's pretty much in town only, although there is a guy riding one from Alaska or from Argentina to Alaska right now. Grom way round, check him out on Instagram and Facebook. And I don't know how he's doing that back roading it. My point is, you can't take it out of town really. You can't take it on the highway. It's a limited use type motorcycle. It's a fun toy. It's more a toy than it is a practical means of transportation, except for in very specific circumstances. So if you live in a city, live in a major city, and you very rarely get on any type of road that's going to cause you to need to go more than 50 or 55 miles an hour, it could be a great everyday ride. But for most people, and the vast majority of the geographical area in this country, the limitations are going to become a factor if it's your only means of transportation or your only motorcycle. So it's fun for dinking around on, but if you want to use it for any practical purpose other than short-range commuting, it's not as good for that. And so is it a bike you're going to be satisfied with in the long term? I don't think it is, if it's your only motorcycle. It is a really fun toy. I love this thing, man, but I would not want it to be my only bike. It's a great second bike. It's a great additional bike if you can afford it. It's a great, you know, project bike if you want to mod it. There's all those options, but it's not a great only bike. There's always these debates about whether or not a 300 or a 400 is enough for a first motorcycle in the long term, or a 500 even. So the 125 doesn't even factor into that conversation, I don't think. It's just not a good only bike, and it's never gonna be, and it's okay, because that's not what it was made for. It's not supposed to be your only bike. Oh, now I'm going a little faster. Maybe I was going into a headwind. So the two factors we discussed as to whether or not a bike is a good first bike are, one, is it easy to learn on? And on that score, I would give the Grom a hearty 10 out of 10. It may be the best motorcycle to learn on, the most forgiving, least intimidating motorcycle ever made. It's really, really excellent on that score. Hard to find a better bike for learning on. It's the training wheels of motorcycles. For sure, it's great. It's really great for that. That's an excellent, excellent thing about this bike. On the, is it an unintimidating, easy to learn on bike? 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10, perfect. Okay, but that's not the only consideration. So factor two is it a bike that you're going to be able to keep for a long time? And if it's your only bike, which is what I'm judging this by, because if it's your first motorcycle, that implies that you have only one, then I'm going to have to say 2 or 3 out of 10. Maybe 4. I maybe go as high as 4 out of 10 for the long-term ownership potential of this as your only bike. I just think you'll either, one, get frustrated with its lack of capability. You know, you're going to want to go on rides out of town and stuff. Or two, you're just going to outgrow it. You're going to want to ride faster. So you're either going to need to ride faster and not be able to, or you're going to get good enough at riding that you're like, man, I wish I had a bike that was a little faster and a little bit more fun. And the Grom is fun, but not in a it goes super fast way. So on the second score, on the is it going to last you a long time, it's like a 4 out of 10. Which means overall, is the Grom a good first motorcycle? Well, I mean, the real answer is it depends, because if you're going to ride around in the city only, or you're okay with the fact that you're going to want to upgrade in a couple years or a year, then it's a great one. But overall, if I had to say, like, if you were said to me, is it a good first motorcycle, give me a rating out of from 1 to 10, and that was all the information I could give you, I would say it's probably a 7, just because you can't ride it forever. It just doesn't have the capability to stick with you long term. So, am I crazy? Does it make sense what I'm saying? Do you agree with me? If you own a Grom, do you think you're definitely going to want something else if a Grom is your only bike because it was your first bike? I just think after a year or so, you're going to really love riding it around, but you're going to be like, man, I'm ready to get into some real motorcycling. I'm really glad that I have other bikes. If I had to go down to one motorcycle, and I have 3, it wouldn't be this one, because it's superfluous. I literally bought it to be a toy to screw around on. I did not buy it for any practical reason. That's my answer to the question, is the Grom a good first motorcycle? 7 to 10, that's my answer. And I haven't ridden mine as long as some of you have, and I know a few of you disagree with my assessment of the versatility of this motorcycle. And man, there's a lot of stuff you can do that you wouldn't think, like off-road riding and stuff, but in terms of just comparing it to how I ride my other bikes, there's just a lot it can't do. Not that it was designed to do those things, but it just, if it was my only bike, I would want to do some of the things I couldn't do. So that's what I think. What do you think? Tell me in the comments. Anybody start on a Grom? I'd love to hear how your experience was. How did you upgrade? Do you still have it? Let me know in the comments. It is hot today. So I appreciate you all coming along with me on this ride. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button. Thanks for watching, and as always, please do not forget to be excellent to each other. Thank you.